The topic of drifting. That is the topic under discussion today with Tanya Unkovic. Tanya, is this a confession from your bogan past? Are we talking boy races, drifting, the occasional burnout, perhaps? What's the topic today?
The only type of burnout or drifting I would have done in a car would have been unintentional, trust me.
Flashbacks to learning to drive, perhaps. But
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
a different type of drifting we're talking about here. And this is about, I suppose, sticking to the path that we should be on, sticking to the narrow way. We find ourselves perhaps busy in life with various distractions pulling us left and right. It's easy to drift off the path, isn't it?
It sure is. To be distracted, to take you away from your focus, to take you away from what you really want. And you get so distracted by what's going on around you, what other people are doing, what other people think you should be doing, what you think you should be doing. It's very easy to lose your path and find yourself lost.
Finding your way back, though, and I'm thinking map and a compass in some regards, but let's break down that metaphor a little bit. When we find ourselves drifting off the path, when we find ourselves a little bit of a loose end in life, how do we find our way back to peace? How do we find our way back to God, Tanya?
Well, it's interesting you should use that metaphor because it's a bit like using a GPS, isn't it?
Okay.
We plug in the destination, and then we allow joy and our inner GPS to lead the way. So if we find that we're drifting, if we find that we're isolated from others, from family, from God, we go, actually, I want to get back to God. I'm going to plug God into my GPS.
Yep.
And then I'm going to walk the path back to God. And if you don't quite know what to do, then do what you did before. I've got a Bible. I've got readings. I've got church. I've got friends and family who can also walk this path back to me. So plug in the outcome first, plug in the destination first, and focus on that.
Part of the challenge with this is it can get circular quite easily, because when we find ourselves drifting, it's often because we've got too many things on our to-do list that we seem a little bit overwhelmed. There's people saying, look, I know I should do that. I know I should stop and refocus on the things of God. If only I had more time to spend in God's Word. If only I had more time to redirect the path in which I'm going. But actually, it's like I'm juggling chainsaws. Everything's up in the air at the moment, and I just don't have the time to refocus and recenter.
And I've got this wonderful saying that if you don't have 10 or 15 minutes in your day to dedicate to self-care, prayer and all that, then you really don't have a life. You really need to look at where you are spending your time. And we've talked about this in the past, doing a time budget. You've got 168 hours in your week. Let's break that down and see where you're spending it. And I am sure you will be able to find an hour or two spare there that you can then spread out over the week a little bit every day to spend time finding your path back to God or whatever it is that you find that you're drifting from.
And whilst we may be in panic mode, trying to make the most of every second, actually, if we invest the time to do a time inventory, a time budget, as you say, that actually gives time back to us in the long run, doesn't it? Or even in the short term.
Oh, it really does. I mean, you will find where you're wasting time. Easy peasy. I mean, look at social media from instance. How much time do we spend scrolling there or whatever it is? But, I also say and I'm not the best at multitasking at some things, but one thing I can do is I can pray and I can walk at the same time.
That's fantastic, isn't it? Because I suppose that inner monologue with God, rather than the sorts of internal conversations that we have which take us away from the things of God, if we redirect that internal monologue, I mean, it takes the same amount of time to think positive thoughts as it does negative thoughts. If we can focus on God whilst we're going about our day, it's amazing the time that frees up if we put Him first, right?
And the peace that you get when you spend time with God, then that peace enables you to do things easily and effortlessly throughout the day. So you might find that a task that you're procrastinating with that normally takes you 30 minutes at your office desk,
Yeah.
Because you've had that peaceful 10 minutes beforehand, you might get it done in 15 minutes this time. That peace of mind settles your thinking and your clarity, and I just find everything works so smoothly when I make that initial investment.
We were talking before about, I suppose, straying from the path, and I've kind of got this lost in the woods metaphor that I've been chasing along. Although, hey, look, if you are metaphorically going out into the woods, firstly, it's a good thing to go with a friend, to go with a buddy, and even better to take a local guide, to take God with you into your day, to have a prayer partner or somebody to support and encourage you. Going it alone often has horrific consequences. Let's bring a team with us, right?
Yeah, I agree. And, if you know of a group that exists that you can go to, or a church that you can go to, it really just comes back to making a decision. I'm actually going to put my shoes on, get in the car and go there.
Yeah.
Don't take too long in thinking about it. Just do it, as Nike says. Reach out. Even if it's one person, if you can't find that church or group, just one person. Pick up the phone. Hey, how are you? By the way, I need an ear.
Yeah. And actually, you reaching out to that person may also help them. Two people together walking a journey. Now, for some people, the best person to do that with is a spouse, husband or wife, somebody in your family. But for single folk, just find somebody in your life where you can be partners that support each other, that pray for each other when you're having down times, a companion on the way.
Absolutely. What's the alternative? It's very easy to remain isolated and then just go, I'll do it next time, I'll do it tomorrow. Do it today and just break that pattern of isolation. And if you also turn it around and go, I'm actually doing this for someone else.
Yeah.
I'm going to reach out to someone else who I know struggles with loneliness or drifting and see if I can help them.
Yeah, no, very good. At the very least, drift together. You'll have some good conversations along the way. Hey, Tanya, always a great wisdom and advice. I do hope that you have a wonderful weekend. And if people wanted to find out more, if they wanted to connect with, you've got so many resources online available. TanyaUnkovic.com, a good place to start.
Thank you, yes.